This was quite a shocker, I think, the gap between the health spending and the dark blue one there is the European average, and the blue one is the Tories, which so never reaching the average of Europe. But then Labour's the same. When they get in, the red one, they still are nowhere near it. Well, these two are vying to spend the least, aren't they?
Exactly. Yeah. And of course, you don't get that from the rhetoric, even as it's replayed today, that we still have ringing in our ears, Tony Blair's great announcement, or he's talked about it since his era, that his Labour Party oversaw the greatest increase in public spending since the Second World War, which is true, but then your benchmark is the Tories. It's hardly a challenging benchmark compared to his peers in the continent, most of whom, by the way, were led by slightly centre-right governments, as it happened when he was in power. He was spending less. In Tony Blair's reign, Ireland jumped over the UK to leave the UK with the worst child mortality figures, right? Happened during Blair's reign. This is Ireland, right? You're talking the early 2000s, so they're emerging from the doldrums from the 1980s, and they're leaving us behind. So again, there's all this data that shows just exactly the point that you made there. Let's be fair, right? They were trying to do the right thing. They are typically trying to do progressive things, right? But they can't, because to stay in power, they have to think about upsetting voters that are going to look at this as profligate and being weak. It's even worse now than it was,
And I've just pulled up the child mortality stats as well. This was something linking back to our conversation with Danny Dorling. One of the things it said was, why is it always child statistics we go for? And he said, well, because they're available, but also you have to be a really heartless son of a bitch to want your children to be in poverty. And yet, look at that. Our mortality rate is worse than the European average. Now, I think if you asked any man in the street whether UK's mortality rate was worse than Europe, I don't think they would think it is.